I want you to picture a very specific, very uncomfortable kind of silence.
Okay.
It's not a peaceful silence. It's the quiet inside a high-end boardroom, Fortune 500 company.
I can see it. Expensive water bottles on the table, air conditioning humming.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
everyone is just staring at this giant dashboard on the wall. They've just spent, say, 18 months and $50 million on a new digital platform. The big launch was yesterday and today.
Nothing. Nothing works. The dashboard is just a sea of red. The database isn't talking to the mobile app. Orders are just vanishing. And the CIO is probably looking for a window to climb out of because they promised this would change everything.
It's so vivid, and it is terrified. And, it's way more common than anyone wants to admit. We only hear about the launch parties.
The flashy keynotes, the stock price bump.
We never hear about the stuck phase, or, more importantly, about the kind of person who walks into that burning building, not to panic, not to point fingers, but to actually fix it.
Right. They get called turnaround agents, program fixers. But the person we're deep diving on today, he uses a much more interesting term. He calls himself a stitcher.
So today, we're unpacking the portfolio and the whole methodology of Aman Vohra. He's a program leader in digital and ERP transformation.
And before your eyes glaze over at ERP transformation.
Too late. I'm already thinking about spreadsheets.
No, stay with me. Because Vohra's career is basically a tour of the invisible tech you rely on every single day. He's the reason your Domino's pizza tracker actually works.
Now you have my attention.
And he's the reason your FedEx package doesn't get lost in some customs warehouse black hole.
So we're looking at his project history at these huge brands, Domino's, FedEx, Hytrol, and we're also digging into his book, When It's Stuck. Our mission today is really to figure out, how do you fix a broken billion-dollar system? Is it just about writing better code?
I'll give you a spoiler. It is almost never just about the code.
All right, let's start with that identity then. The stitcher. Aman Vohra says his core identity is, I stitch change end to end. That feels like a very specific metaphor. Why not architect or builder?
Well, an architect implies you're starting with a clean slate, a blank page. You get to dream up the perfect building. Stitching, on the other hand, implies you're dealing with reality.
You're dealing with what's already there.
Exactly. You have two existing, maybe ragged pieces of fabric that do not want to go together, and your job is to force them into a seam that holds.
And in the corporate world, those two pieces of fabric are what exactly?
It's almost always the business and IT. You have the business side sales, marketing shouting, we need this feature right now.
And then you have IT on the other side.
And they're saying, hold on, that feature will break our security and crash the entire server. We need 6 months to test it.
And they're speaking completely different languages.
It's worse than that. It's like they're living in different realities. Vohra actually says in his bio, I speak biz and IT. It sounds simple, but that bilingualism is incredibly rare. So many projects fail just because of a translation error.
So this brings us right to his book, When It's Stuck. It seems like it's aimed directly at that moment of failure. It's for CIOs, CTOs, the execs whose big initiatives have just stalled out. But I was really struck by this one line, his core promise. He says, I do not promise perfect. However, I guarantee we will get it done together with clarity and accountability.
That is such a bold thing to say, to put I do not promise perfect right at the front.
It feels risky, right? Companies hire consultants who promise them the moon.
And that's exactly why they get burned and why these projects get stuck in the first place. Vohra's approach is it's anti-hype. When a project is broken, you don't need magic, you just need traction.
And you need someone to come in and just be the adult in the room.
That's it. Someone to say, okay, this is ugly. Here's the data that shows why it's ugly. And here is our step-by-step plan to make it functional. He's basically saying we're going to stop hoping and start measuring.
Okay, that philosophy makes a lot of sense. Pragmatism over perfection. But I want to see it in action. And specifically, I want to talk about pizza.
Everyone always wants to talk about the pizza.
We have to. Vohra was at Domino's from 2017 to late 2021. And for anyone not paying attention then, that was the era when Domino's stopped being a pizza company.
And became a tech company that happened to sell pizza. It was a complete metamorphosis. Their stock was outperforming Google.
And looking at Vohra's portfolio, you can see he was right in the middle of it. This wasn't just, making a website look pretty.
No, not at all.
One of the big projects here is conversational commerce. He worked on the AI system that lets you just talk to the app to order your food.
And think about the insane complexity of that. This isn't just Siri looking up a fact. You say, I want a large pepperoni, and the system has to understand your accent, check the inventory at your specific local store, check the price, apply a coupon.
And estimate delivery time based on how many drivers are working, all in a split second.
Exactly. And he scaled that across 5,800 stores. But there's another point here I think is the real Stitcher moment. Machine learning platform for labor optimization.
Yes. Okay, explain that to me. Because labor optimization can sound a little corporate.
Well, in the fast food world, it's about survival. Margins are razor thin. If you have 10 drivers just standing around on a slow Tuesday, you're losing money.
But if you only have 2 drivers on Super Bowl Sunday, you're losing customers because the pizza shows up cold 2 hours late.
You need it to be just right. The Goldilocks zone for staffing. So Vohra's team built a platform that takes in tons of data, historical sales, weather, local events, traffic, to predict exactly how many people a store manager needs next Friday at 6 p.m.
So the manager isn't just guessing based on gut feel anymore.
Right. And think about the stitching needed there. You have to connect a high-tech algorithm to the daily routine of a store manager who's done it their way for 20 years. If they don't trust the data, the whole system fails.
There's another stat here from his time at Domino's that it made my eyes pop. He implemented payment systems processing $4.5 billion a year. But the reliability metric, 99.999% availability.
The legendary 5 nines.
Break that down. I mean, 99% sounds pretty good to me. How different is 99.999%?
Oh, it's a completely different universe. It's exponentially harder to achieve. So a system that's up 99% of the time, that actually means it's down for about 3.5 days a year.
Wow. Okay, for a company processing that much money, that's millions of dollars in lost sales.
Exactly. And total chaos for the store owners.
Yeah.
5 nines, 99.999% means the system is down for about 5 minutes a year. Total.
That seems almost impossible.
It's incredibly difficult. It requires layers of redundancy. If a server fails, traffic instantly reroutes without anyone noticing. And doing that while also handling credit card data, which needs super strict PCI DSS security certification, is like performing open heart surgery while the patient is running a marathon.
So one data leak, just one, and the brand is destroyed.
Absolutely. So when he says, I do not promise perfect, you know, he's being humble because 5 nines is about as close to perfect as you can get.
So he conquers the pizza world. Then, late 2021, he pivots. He goes to FedEx Logistics.
From moving pepperoni to moving literally everything else.
This feels like a huge shirt, but at FedEx, if the system goes down, global supply chains just stop.
It's critical infrastructure. Factories don't get parts. Hospitals don't get equipment. He steps in to manage a $50 million portfolio with a team of over 100 people.
And the projects listed here are dense, cargo-wise. One, identity management. Let's start with identity management because it sounds kind of boring, but I have a feeling it's a nightmare.
It is the classic Stitcher problem. See, FedEx isn't just one company. It's FedEx Air, FedEx Ground, FedEx Trade Networks. And a lot of these divisions grew through acquisitions over decades.
So they're all running on different computer systems.
Totally different databases, different security, different definitions of what a user even is. A pilot for FedEx Air might exist in one system, but the ground system has no idea who she is.
It's just chaos.
And Vohra's job was to stitch all those identities into one unified layer, integrating them into Salesforce. So when a customer or an employee logs in, they see one FedEx.
That sounds like a political challenge as much as a technical one.
Oh, absolutely. You're telling different divisions they have to agree on a standard. That's why his profile mentions reporting to steering committees and VPs. You need that high-level buy-in to force cooperation.
So then there's this cargo-wise one, a global freight forwarding system. What makes that so hard?
Freight forwarding is so much more than just tracking a box. It's customs declarations, tariffs, international trade compliance, hazardous material documents.
And every single country has different rules.
Every one. Implementing a system like that is like replacing the entire central nervous system of a global logistics company while it's still running. You can't just pause global trade for a software update.
Which brings us to his current role. As of early 2025, he's at Hytrol Conveyor Manufacturer.
This is a really fascinating turn. He's gone from consumer-facing tech with pizza to global logistics services and now to heavy manufacturing. Hytrol makes the conveyor belts inside warehouses for places like Amazon and FedEx.
And the challenge is listed as modernization versus continuity. He's moving them from a system called AS400 to a modern ERP. Can you explain AS400 for us?
Ah, the AS400. Picture a computer screen from the 90s. Black screen, glowing green text, no mouse.
And companies are still using this today.
Oh, everywhere. Banks, factories, hospitals. Because it is a tank. It never, ever breaks. It processes transactions incredibly fast.
Right.
You can't get data out of it easily, and good luck finding a 22-year-old who knows how to program it.
So Vohra's job is to rip out that reliable ancient brain and replace it with a modern cloud system, Epicor, without stopping the factory.
And that is the most dangerous move a manufacturer can make. It's called a cutover. If the new system can't track inventory correctly on day one, the production line just starts.
It's just like Domino's, but instead of cold pizza, it's millions of dollars of steel sitting idle.
Exactly. And notice the phrase process reengineering. That's the hardest part. He has to walk onto a factory floor and tell a foreman who's been there for 30 years, hey, the way you've tracked parts forever, we're changing it.
It takes some serious people skills.
For sure. You have to stitch the new tech to the physical reality of the factory.
Yeah.
You can't just drop an iPad in a welder's hands and walk away.
So we've seen the pizza bots, the global trade networks. Let's look at the how, because Vohra's toolkit is surprisingly technical for a program leader.
Right. He calls himself a technologist at heart.
He lists AWS, Google Cloud, DevOps. Why does a manager need to know that stuff? Isn't that for the engineers?
This is so critical. In the old days, managers just managed schedules. Today, if you don't understand the tech, you're vulnerable.
Vulnerable how?
To getting a snow job. If a vendor tells you, oh, integrating that will take 6 months and $1 million, a non-technical manager just has to nod.
But someone like Vohra can push back.
He can say, wait a minute, we're on AWS. Can't we just use a Lambda function and an API? That should take 2 weeks. It's about being able to call the bluff. It earns respect from the engineers and protects the business.
But he balances that with the human side. Discovery workshops, stakeholder alignment.
The discovery workshop is basically the antidote to the stuck project. You get everyone in a room and say, okay, laptops down. What is actually broken? What frustrates you every single day?
It's like corporate therapy.
It kind of is. You can't stitch a team together over email. You have to look them in the eye.
And clearly it's a message that's resonating. He has over 100,000 followers on LinkedIn.
That social proof is important. It shows he's building a methodology that other people want to learn from.
So let's zoom out. From TELUS to Domino's to FedEx to Hytrol. What's the common thread here? What is the Vohra method?
I think it's about de-risking complexity. He walks into situations that are totally paralyzed by complexity, by panic, and he just applies this framework of radical transparency.
I do not promise perfect.
Exactly. He lowers the temperature in the room. He says, we're not going to fix this overnight, but we are going to fix this one small piece. We're going to measure it, and then we'll move to the next. He stitches the small wins together.
It's a great reminder that all this digital transformation stuff isn't magic. It's just people trying to get machines to talk to each other.
And having a really good translator in the middle of it all.
So here's a thought for everyone listening. The next time you track a package on your phone, or you order a pizza, and that little tracker moves across the screen.
Don't just look at the app. Think about all the invisible wires behind it.
Yeah, ask yourself, how many ancient systems from the 90s had to be stitched together for that to work? How many arguments between departments had to be solved?
And just consider how close that whole thing probably came to completely falling apart before someone like Aman Vohra came in to stitch it back together.
It really gives you a new appreciation for the fact that any of this works at all.
It really does. It's the invisible glue.
Aman Vohra, the Stitcher.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for helping us unpack all this today. It's been a really fascinating look under the hood.
My pleasure. Always fun.
And to our listener, thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.